Good morning, everyone. It is Jillian. So, yeah, wow, yesterday, definitely busy day. I actually had a lot of energy. I was really working so hard on my book. My editor, who was too dykes to give me corrections and feedback on some of my stuff, she sent back to me my paper. She says, okay, you did the 27 pages. That's great. I mean, she didn't say it like that, but I'm kind of paraphrasing. But here's some things that need to be restructured. You're going back to your old run on sentences and weird word, conjugations. And okay, she probably going like, this is just too much because, I put out, here's the thing, what my whole creative process is, so is that I get an idea and I just do everything in what I would say like to a person when I'm just putting out an idea. And so yes, I do write the way I speak in a lot of ways. And then I'm like, okay, I want to, I do the best I can to kind of make sure it sounds okay. And then I just like can, stew on it with it and write it and then I'll just send it off to her and she'll read some of it. Maybe she'll give me some feedback. And then I'm like, oh, and then I get another level of evolution. And then I go back and look at that. So I'll have to sleep on it and then go back and look at what I wrote and my whole point is. And I'm like, oh, wait, maybe I should say it this way. Maybe I should take this chapter and this paragraph or this section and put it to the beginning and at the end. Maybe I need to take the last sentence here and not put it here, but put it over here. And so that's kind of the creative process. And it's like a pain in the ass because you can have one idea and it sounds so great, but then how do you put it in an organized way in a written form? And so, but what happens when you do that? What happens when you do that when you write? Okay, that's why I really urge everybody on the Jilly Juice is to write and find a way to write about something that they care about. So that way they can see their own sentence structure. And then when they write about something that they care about, or they have one idea about something or a preconceived notion, and then they write about it and they do research, then they realize that it's not what they thought it was. And that's actually what happened with me, is that I'm writing about business process reengineering, and I'm writing about ISO, International Organization of Standardization. And I'm like, oh, wait, they were made out and I was writing also about evolution in business process reengineering, evolution, what is it, change management. And then I'm talking about Columbus and going into the indigenous population like America, and him and all of his crew in Spanish were trying to evolve, of course, against the will, a little bit, against the will of the Indians. And, once the explorers discovered something, there's no going back. When you discover something, you just cannot just ignore it and say it's not there. Now you're curious on to see what else is available. And that's the thing with J-Juice. I mean, I was like basically Christopher Columbus just discovering, America. And I'm like, oh my God, there's a people, there's a land. What do they have to offer? Is there gold? I mean, let me tell you, I felt like now when I look at what Christopher Columbus did, that's kind of like, when you're forced evolving people that don't want to be evolved. But now with our new world, we're giving people the choice to evolve. Back then, they were like, evolve or die. I mean, it was so Darwinian, it was so medieval way back when, and you know that because you've heard all the stories. You watched all the movies of all the medieval crap and the torture, and it still happens today, but not really too much in a civilized society. It happens underground, I'm sure, if you break the law or something. So back then, you didn't have a choice to evolve. It's either they discovered you better freaking evolve. And then the whole thing with Pocahontas and John Smith. And then she actually married John Rolfe. She never married John Smith. She just saved John Smith from imminent death because her tribe was going to kill the invader. And so finally, I guess, to satisfy both nations, the Indians or the Native American nation, and the old world, they got married and she moved to England, and then then everyone figured out how to get along. And I'm sure there's a whole lot more to this story. I mean, there was wars, there's resistance, and you've seen it throughout the ages. Okay. And so, And so anyways, so then I discovered with the international standards of, or International Organization of Standardization, that it actually came out of England in 1947. And I'm just like, oh my God. And that's it's a whole change management. It's whole best practices. It's the whole, you know, business process reengineering. So, I mean, how do you go in and change an organization or change a culture or change, you know, a society with as little resistance as possible? Well, you're watching it now with the Capitol riots. You watch how they put Trump in office, brought to surface all the resistors. So now, and then, you know, there was definitely some strategic things going on to see who is going to react. And there's a lot of psychological operations. I mean, come on, we live in a society where they understand the human condition and they understand how to trigger people into action reaction. It's the strategies of marketing. And so then I'm like, okay, so instead of saying the masters of illusion in my book, I'm like the masters of strategic marketing, because it is. We're going to, I mean, I'm not saying I'm changing anything that is like that isn't so. I'm not denying that we do have nefarious people out there that do have malintention, and then there's people that don't have malintention that are really trying to evolve. And so there's always going to be that plus and that minus, even with the 17 influential families, because I could see one family that I know of, because when I'm smoking cigarettes and I'm doing my book, I really get a lot of rush of evolution and a rush of just ideas and thought processes that, you know, so that's a contribution. And some of our 17 influential families are in the tobacco business. They have built our infrastructure. They have given us really a society. And so, but they also know how to strategically manipulate and market the people that they're trying to evolve or devolve based upon your choice. Now, of course, way back when, they didn't give people a lot of choices. So yes, it was like genocide. And we've seen it in World War I, World War II, you know, China. I mean, we've seen it in the Middle East. We see it even today in some level, even in on our own soil, like in the prisons and stuff. Don't end up in a prison, or you won't end up in a medieval, you know, torture chamber. It's like a prison. Okay, so be a good person and abide by the law and don't hurt anybody, and you won't be stuck in that situation of being tortured. So anyway, so yeah, we definitely have changed as a society, and we have given people options instead of forcing them to evolve. But I think the viruses, the panspermia, is what is forcing people to evolve. And so then I'm going to go into here about the food and the microbiome and intelligence. Because yes, this speaks even more so about the food supply, people who deny themselves food, people who can't process food, people who are food discriminatory. You know, when you're that discriminatory with food, then you're going to lack intelligence, because all food is intelligence. But then also too, and more importantly, the microbiome, which I have in my book. Actually, hold on. I don't say intelligence here because I was still in the process of developing, but my book points out the microbiome, which is the viruses, the parasites, the protozoa, fungus, and proteins, fungus, and bacteria. And all of the microbiome, even the viruses, have intelligence. They have data. And so now this really supports everything that I said, that, you know, anyone that takes antibiotics, antivirals, antifungals, antiparasitics, bacterials, if you're doing hand sanitizer 24/7 and you're taking things to kill off this, and that, you are destroying the intelligence of your body, because the microbiome is intelligence. And the Jilly Juice protocol supports the microbiome, supports the stability of the intelligence of not only in your environment, but also in your body. And Jilly Juice with the food supply and with water, and then it is like, you wouldn't put a whole concentrated amount of Jilly Juice like in a tiny plant, because you don't want to, you know, overwhelm the plant with salt. So you have to mix the Jilly Juice with water and other nutrients, and make sure that it is able to take in that energy source, because that's why salt is everywhere. But to mine salt, it takes machinery, and it takes salt caves, it takes a lot of things to get the salt. But yes, there is salt in all of our soils. There's salt, there's minerals, there's everything. And so anyways, yeah, the microbiome is made up of everything out there, and it has intelligence, and it needs a stable environment. And so Jilly Juice and the food supply, and in your intelligence from the food supply, will then sustain the intelligence from the food supply. And so if you're denying yourself food, if you are taking antibiotics and you're taking all the different oncological things that are suppressing evolution, you're taking stuff that like cannabis that releases all this energy that your body really can't afford to lose, you are losing intelligence. And so that's why the holistic allopathic play off each other, because they both sell you the same thing. They are both run by the same strategic marketers out there that know people's emotions and their strengths and their weaknesses and their fears and all that crap. And so they play on that. And so I'm pointing that out in my book, that yes, there is word magic, there is spells, curses, and gifts. And we have 7 billion people that are given now mostly choices. And if you choose to take all the antibiotics and all the oncology and all of the alkaline diets and all of your different detoxes, then you've chosen to destroy your intelligence. You've chosen to not only destroy your intelligence, but also to cut down your life force, cut down your lifespan to where, yeah, now you never know when you might pass away. Now, I live here in the Midwest, and I'm eating a meat, a milk, a cheese, potatoes, donuts, everything with the J juice. And I am going to have the body of a Midwestern, that the longevity of someone who thinks that they're living long in the California. I don't do any spicy food. I really want to have longevity, strength, and intelligence. And I want to impress that upon the women in our society who are being sold that you must be emaciated and be some object to be pursued by a bunch of different people. That's why our women are bearing a lot of babies, right? Because they have been objectified and then told that you must have a baby, you must be pregnant, which I understand. We need to carry on, we need to care. But what happens if you just stay alive instead of passing away? But the reason why we are promoting reproduction and objectifying women is because we have shortened the lifespan, and we have made women to be something of a commodity versus an actual sentient being who has intelligence, though if things are flipping around, but not fast enough. I don't focus on the six-pack. I don't focus on all of the things that a lot of the women out there are focusing on the two coasts, because it is, for me right now, it's about taking in the strengths of the world. And so I know the Midwest, they are the ones that built our nation. They are the blue collars that work with their hands. But I don't want, I want to have people in the Midwest also have the longevity and not saying they're not intelligent, but another form of intelligence that you get on the two coasts, the innovation. Okay, so what would happen if, East meets West? What would happen if the two coasts meet Middle America? What would that bring about? Oh my God, we'd be such a power force. We'd kick everybody's ass. Not only do we have the intelligence, we have the strength to back it up. So that's what I'm actually, so in a lot of ways what I'm doing is I am looking at the different body structures of people. And when I went to China, I could tell the difference in body structure of the Northern Chinese or Northern China and Southern China. I was in Guangzhou with my friend, and she's from Guangzhou. She, her culture is they do dim sum and everything steamed dumplings, steamed, everything. They don't eat a lot, so everybody is very, very, diminutive and very slight in their structure. And then I go to Northern China, where everything is heavy sauces, heavy meats. It's colder up there, I guess, during certain times. And that's when I saw the Great Wall, and I think, what is it, the Forbidden City, the big palace, or Forbidden City. And the people there were very different in their bone structure. And it was because, yes, the Mandarin food, like Panda Express that you see out there, that's Northern Chinese food. And then all of the dim sum restaurants are Southern Chinese food. I love Southern Chinese food. I love the dim sums. And so sometimes you get in Chinese restaurants, you get a mixture of both. You get your your heavy sauces and your meat and heavy sauces and vegetables and rice, and then you also get the appetizers, which is all the steamed stuff. But I've been, in different places, like in California, the dim sum restaurants are so amazing, and I could eat so much dim sum. It's unreal. So it's been a while since I had dim sum because we don't have it out here. We have Chinese restaurants where, yeah, you can eat a bunch of pot stickers and, egg rolls, but they don't have the other stuff that you get in a dim sum restaurant. So whatever. But yeah, so that's the thing, is you look at body structures in different regions and different climates and different cultures, and you realize what the food supply, their belief systems, their remedies and all their different things that they do. And you're like, okay, well, and so, yeah, I think the Indians needed to have some kind of evolution, because if we hadn't gone in and forced the Indians to evolve way back in 1492, we wouldn't have jelly juice here in 2020, 2016, 2017. Okay, so sometimes hindsight is 2020, and sometimes we have to look at, okay, well, if the English created the international organization of standardization to then have some kind of like representative body of people who are continuously improving processes of industries, and then they implement change management and best practices and business process reengineering, and how do you go in and change an organization with as little resistance as possible, but still show the benefits of why they need to change. I mean, that's them realizing that, yeah, we made mistakes back in 1492. We made mistakes back in 1518. We made mistakes back in all this time. And now we're trying to evolve society who is resisting. And then look at who are the resistors. You see everybody on your Facebook who is bitching about everything. No, they can't handle the virus because they haven't kept up with their body. Here, jelly juice has been on the map since 2016, 2017, and there's still resistors out there that won't look at jelly juice, but will find every way possible to demonize everybody else out there, but they will not look at new information. Those are like the Indians that were met by the Columbus. And so I get it now. Oh, I get it now. Give me 1 second. I saw, oh, who was that? Was that? No, that was, okay. I gotta make sure it wasn't some troll. I'm about to go delete some trolls off of here. But that was Audrey. Okay. You're the one that was laughing, Audrey. But yeah, I mean, so anyways, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that we have some people resisting what's going on out there. And, and so at some point you have to look at Bill Gates, you have to look at everybody in the climate. I mean, there is climate change going on. I know some of you want to deny the climate change, but yeah, there's climate change because there's so much going on in the atmosphere. Yes, cycles do happen. We have the ice age, and then we don't have the ice age. Who knows what is contributing to that in the actual universe? But yeah, I mean, you could say that they're doing direct energy weapons, which, okay, that may happen on some level, but do we really know? We know we have the technology to also reconfigure our planet, but I mean, I don't think even the people that are here, or what you think is the aliens, are trying to destroy everything. I think that there's a combination of us knowing that there's changes going on. Oh yeah, Rod, yeah. I think that those that know what's going on, that know that there are changes going on, are kind of helping the process a little bit. And just like we know that there's changes going on in our body, but we're doing the J juice to help, preempt a little of the process. Hey, Kim, and then support it. Okay. And sometimes you have to bring up to surface the things that are already latent deep within you, so that way you can deal with it. And so maybe that's what's going on with our people out there, with the people in power, is that they are bringing to surface what's latent and doing it, and bringing to surface, like purposely now, because eventually you're going to deal with it. Either you pay now or pay later. Either way, you got to pay. So if you know that there's something brewing under the surface, you might as well bring it to surface and deal with it, or wait for it to come out when you're not ready to deal with it. And so I think that's what's going on with all the different stuff. And yeah, the wars and all this. I mean, there's so much going on, and it does bring up, yes, artistry and There is, you know, a lot of innovation that happens from death and reproduction. And so, you know, there's so many things going on so many different fronts. And the thing is, you won't be able to keep up with it all. You won't. I mean, you can just say, okay, fine. You know, there's nefarious people out there. You know that there's good people out there. You know that not everybody if you were meant to die, you'd be dead. Okay, so don't assume that everyone wants to kill you. So now it's just about how do you keep yourself alive despite all of this evolution that's going on? How do you keep yourself alive? And so that's the whole strategy behind jelly juice is how do you maintain your sanity so you don't get caught up like in a loop like you were laughing at because you know that that's going on. And then how do you stay alive? How do you actually literally stay alive during these processes? Because you know there's going to be more variants of these viruses, whether in India, whether in China, whether in the Philippines, Africa, Asia, whatever. You know this is not the end. COVID is not the last virus. It's not the first virus and it's not the last virus. I mean, when you think about it, it's from Columbus to COVID. Yeah, there's going to be so many evolutions in the future. We haven't barely even scratched the surface. We thought we'd be like in spaceships right now, riding around like the Jetsons, right? Back in the 1980s. Oh, that'll happen, but we still have a lot of evolution to happen. We have 7 billion people who probably will not be able to handle that, and they would revolt. And so what do you got to do? You got to force people to choose. Do you want to evolve or do you want to devolve? Okay, well, here is this entity called the microbiome. We're going to upgrade the microbiome, and if you can't handle it, then I guess you won't be able to see if we're going to be like the Jetsons. But we'll watch you supernova yourself out of existence. And that's what you're watching right now, is people are supernovaing themselves out of existence. All the activists are like these supernovas. And you're going to watch people with those kind of issues. Biochemical issues, you can see them in your family and your friends. Okay? And the environment is going to get that much more aggressive, of which then people are going to start supernovaing. And you hope you don't get affected too much by it. But if you can kind of see the indicators and you kind of know what would trigger supernovas, and then you kind of steer clear when you see that's on its way going to happen again, okay? So that's the thing, is now those of you on the Jelly Juice, you need to be discerning in who it is you get together with, discerning who you hang out with, discerning in almost everything that you do, because you know supernovas are going to be happening because the environment is that much aggressive. There is a specific agenda of evolution, and if you can't handle it, then yeah, you're going to be one of those that are going to supernova. And so I just say, find a way to adapt. Find a way. All right, bye.